this bar kind of looks like the schooner bar on a Royal Caribbean ship, don't you think?
At least, well, I don't know if they put fireplace logs on the schooner, but it does have that feel.
It's got that feel. And the reason we are here in a bar is because we are still in the middle of RV season, but we are planning our future cruises. So you want to know which is the best cruise line out there and maybe the worst. Well, that answer is easy. The best cruise line is... You see, here's the thing. There is no one right answer to that question because there are many factors that go into deciding which cruise line is right for you. Paul and I have been on, 2-3 dozen cruises, and we now know there are many different categories that we look at to determine if a cruise line is great and how we are going to pick our next cruise.
Yeah, it's interesting. We get asked, when we're talking with people on cruise ships, people that we just bump into, we get asked all the time, what's your favorite cruise line? And that answer is so varied and it's so nuanced because all the different cruise lines that we've been on with different cruise ships, they all have something unique to offer. So there's no number one cruise line or cruise ship for us.
Right. And so what we've learned is when we are planning our next cruise, there are certain categories that we like to evaluate to decide, all right, what are we going to do next? And the first category that we like to talk about and think about is food, of course. Such a huge part of cruising is the food. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to talk about the categories that we think are important to help you decide which cruise line is best for you. Because ranking cruises just carte blanche just does not make sense. So food is something that is really important to, I would say, most people who are cruising. And I am going to go right out there on that limb and tell you, I love the food on MSC. I know, there, I said it. Nobody wants to talk about that. They all like to say how bad MSC food is. I'm going to tell you, we've been on a number of MSC cruises, and I am so happy with the food there. They have a huge, probably the best selection of healthy alternatives, and that is certainly very important to me. We've also done their specialty dining, which, I don't know, that's been great.
It's been very good.
As well. And frankly, everything else, their buffets, I would put their buffet above everybody else, maybe. I mean, they really do a good job. So just don't go believing all of those other shows that rank cruise lines and they put MSC's food down at the bottom.
And think of this, Italians in dessert, Italians in pizza. It's an Italian-owned line. That's why I'm saying that. The desserts are outstanding. The pizza is outstanding. So they have their items that are, like all the cruise lines, they have their specific items that are simply outstanding. And
they are fantastic. Now I will say this. I would be remiss if I did not say Celebrity has fabulous food too. And they do, and we've done a lot of Celebrity cruises. And I would say in the main dining room, Celebrity is far and away the best cruise line, I would say. And they also really do a wonderful job with presentation, and they really go out of their way. So they have delicious, delicious food as well. But Paul has reasons for liking other cruise lines for food.
Carnival. I would say I love the way that Carnival has federated their dining experience. So as part of their included dining, which includes the buffet, of course, they also have separate little restaurants that you can go to that's part of the dining package. That includes Guy Fieri's Burgers Bars, and we've yet to get a better hamburger and fries on a cruise ship than in Guy Fieri's.
And the taco bar.
And then they've got the taco bar, and then they've got a separate barbecue bar that's open, that's separate from the buffet that you go to, where you get chicken, you can get beef and brisket and pork and sausage and stuff like that.
And all that's included, right?
It's all included. It's not
a
specialty restaurant. Right. So I absolutely love the way Carnival has federated their main dining experience.
Yes. And then just to sort of mention the others, Norwegian, Royal Caribbean, honestly, we just say they're average. They're not horrible, but they're just average. So so if food is something that's very, very important to you, you might want to consider that when you're booking your next cruise. So with food being one of the most important categories, I would say the other one that for us is maybe the most important is the actual cruise ships. We have a lot of opinions on that. Paul, why don't you go ahead with your favorite cruise ship?
I would say it's impossible to say what favorite cruise ship. There's so many different types of cruise ships that we go on that I like. Some of them are very small and intimate. But for example, if you like the mega ships, Royal Caribbean does a tremendous job with the mega ships.
Yeah.
We fell in love with the Allure and the Oasis, which were the two biggest ships in the world at one time, and we fell in love because it had something for everybody. It had so many different venues that were available. Heck, it had an ice skating rink on it, for that matter, where they used to do shows. And then Royal Caribbean has just stepped it up with their mega ships. With their newer ones, they just get bigger, they get better, they get a little bit more tech on them. So Royal Caribbean, when I think of the ships and I think of the mega ships, I think of Royal Caribbean.
Yeah, and I agree with that. In fact, that we just really fell in love with cruising by being on some of those Royal Caribbean mega ships, the Oasis class in particular. Those are the ones we like the best. But I will say, here I go again, MSC, they're going to get my vote. Because, again, like Paul said earlier, they're an Italian-owned company. And so the ships are pretty Italian. They're very flashy and they got a lot of flair and lots of sparkle.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, and they also have wonderful venues. I mean, their venues are just very unique. And every time you turn a corner, you're looking at something new, and they have this sparkly staircase and, just very, very innovative, I would say, MSC.
I know when we walked on the Seascape, we were absolutely wowed with that ship. When you walk on, it's like, I think that's the New York style one, or maybe it's the Las Vegas style. But anyways, it has a sister ship called the Seashore.
Yep.
And we've been on both of those, and they're wow ships.
Yeah,
they're
and
absolutely wow.
They have a few little confusing things. They have these automated elevators that you have to call your floor before you get on it. And once you get on the elevator, you cannot change your mind on where you're going. That's a little bit weird. I actually think it makes the elevator service faster, but some people find that a little bit quirky. Now, I will say again with ships, celebrity ships are beautiful. So if you're looking for the kind of ship that makes you feel like you're in a pampered spa, they take care of every single detail, and it truly does feel special. Their newer ships, the Beyond, the Edge class ships, we actually like that Edge veranda. You've probably seen a little bit about that. It's your balcony, the window that comes down. We prefer them. In fact, we're going on one of those soon and can't wait. So we actually do like those. The other shout out I want to give to, again, see, this is all, you can already tell there is no one right answer. Holland America. If you are looking for classic old world style, elegant, the deep rich woods and the blues and you got to go on Holland America. I mean, and so really the ships, you have to understand your own personal taste. What are you after? And then pick your ship accordingly.
Yeah. I'll even throw Carnival in there. We've done little Carnival cruises out of LA on little ships.
Yep.
They're classic little ships. They're fun. They've got little nooks and crannies that are really cool.
Yeah. And
then we've gone on like the Carnival Panorama, which was a very unique design. It was very compartmentalized venues, so it was a little bit more quiet. Even the big buffet area was very compartmentalized, and it was very quiet. So, and it was noticeably quiet when you're on it. So I'd even throw Carnival. All the different cruise lines have something interesting from a ship standpoint. You need to do your research to say, I like that ship. That ship fits me. It has the venues I want.
Yes, and then the last thing I'll throw in there is that we do tend to prefer the newer ships. So whatever cruise line we're going on, we do edge toward the newer ship because they have better innovation, they have better sound control, they have better crowd control. So if all of that's important to you, then I would say edge toward the newer type of ship.
Yeah.
So another factor when we're picking cruise lines, not only just the ship, but also entertainment is very, very important. Paul is the king of entertainment. He goes to pretty much every show all the time.
Yes.
So why don't you start with
And I love the theater shows. So while Heather's in the casino doing her thing, I'm going to the casino shows. Sometimes I'll go to both a night, but go to two different ones. I'll go to the same show twice in one night because I love them that much. And they're all a little bit different. You talked about MSC. MSC shows, they're a little bit shorter than standard, 35-minute in length, but they're edgy, which is a lot of fun. And then you go
edgy
to...
sounds almost
You have to go
risque.
see it.
I don't think.
Well, yeah, I'll throw that in there.
See, you can tell I don't even go to those.
But and then I'll throw in like Celebrity. Celebrity is going to have the A talent.
Yeah.
So the shows are great, and across the board, the talent level that they have is A plus.
Yeah, and let me jump in just for a second, and I'm going to talk in a minute about the casinos. But when the shows are truly off the charts, wonderful, Paul will come get me and say, "Hey, Heather, you gotta come see this." And I would say for sure that's happened most on Celebrity. They are innovative. Their back screen with their everything that they can do with the screen and the special effects. Truly incredible. And as you were saying, the talent.
Yeah. And then, I'd put like a Carnival and a Royal Caribbean. They all do a very good job, and they entertain. There's no question. But they might have the B plus team or the A minus team.
Yeah.
Whereas Celebrity, in my experience, has the A plus team. MSC is going to be a little more edgy.
Right. I guess I would say Carnival, it's kind of a step down. For entertainment.
It's not notable. I don't. Yeah. To me, it's good. It entertains you. It's just not notable.
Yeah. Now speaking of Carnival, I'm going to go into my part of the entertainment, which is casino. I know it sounds like I spend all my time there. I really don't. Although I will say, I have a video out right here about how to get free cruises through the casino. If you don't see the link up there, I will put the link in the description box below. That is one of the ways we're able to take all these cruises, is we get a lot of them for free. Let's talk about each cruise line and how they handle the casino. We'll start with Carnival because that's where we ended up. Carnival is the easiest cruise line to get free cruises as an initial offer. So that is where they kind of stand out. If you're sort of a newbie and trying to get into the casino thing and get free cruises, I would say it's easiest with Carnival. I think even Paul gets some free cruise offers from Carnival, so that's how easy it is.
For my 1 hour a night in a casino.
Yeah. However, God, I sound like this is a commercial for MSC. I promise you it's really not. The MSC, I think, values their casino players the most. So they're super nice, they give great perks, and we do get free cruises from them all the time through the casino. Now, Norwegian and Royal Caribbean, solid programs. I really have nothing to complain about them, but I put them kind of in the middle on the casino stuff. All right, we're going to move on to a category that is very important, and that is the loyalty programs, the points, the things you get by being loyal to that particular cruise line. This is a no-brainer, Paul.
This is going to be very, very, very short. Royal Caribbean Corporation, which owns both Celebrity and Royal Caribbean lines, and Silver Seas, I think, is the third one, which we've not been on. They're here from a loyalty program standpoint. Everybody else is like way down.
Yeah, they can't see your hand down there.
I know, that's fine. Yeah. That's the difference.
Yeah.
And we started a long time ago. We chose specifically when we started to know, when we knew we really wanted to spend some time cruising, we looked at the loyalty programs and thought, let's invest our dollars here, because if we do that in 3 or 4 or 5 years, it's really going to make a difference. And that has with Royal Caribbean.
Yep.
The others really don't matter. You could spend, they focus in other areas than on their loyalty.
Right, and let me just give one example. So Royal Caribbean, we are at Diamond level because we've had quite a few cruises with them. And one of the best perks with Diamond level is we get 4 free drinks per day, which means we don't even need to buy the drink package. So,
sometimes.
Okay. Sometimes we do. We don't talk about those cruises. No. It means on Royal Caribbean, we don't have to buy the drink package. And anybody if you're out there looking at cruise ships, you know how expensive those drink packages are. So that alone is, I would say, their most valuable perk. But there are all kinds of other things. There are robes and slippers in your room and everything like that. Now, it also does, because they're owned by the same company, transfer over to Celebrity. And with Celebrity, why don't you tell them about what happens with the Celebrity
Celebrity
drinks?
is a happy hour. So from a designated happy hour time, you get free drinks. So I think it's like from 5 to 7. But
Right.
that's big.
Yeah, again, anytime you can get free drinks, that saves a lot of money. And like we said, there's no other loyalty program that comes close. And because of the loyalty programs and also the casinos. We actually have 6 cruises between now and the end of the year. So if you are interested in seeing reviews of cruise ships and whatnot, please go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll be alerted when all of that video comes out, because we're going to have a lot of cruise video coming out soon. Okay, next category.
Gym and spa.
Oh, yes.
Yes, you take this one.
I'm going to take the lead on this one. I love my time in the spa. I do. Now, the cruise lines have really learned how important the spa is to people, and they make a lot of money in their spa, whether it's, massages or getting your nails done or getting your hair done or getting that weird foot thing done. I don't know what that foot thing is. Like every single cruise line has this, you're supposed to step on a thing and measure your feet, and anyway, they all have it. I don't even buy any of that stuff, but what we do is we do the day pass to the thermal spa or whatever it's called on that particular ship. Now, I'm going to talk about Celebrities Spa because they are beautiful. Royal Caribbeans are also very similar. So they usually use those big panoramic windows, and you can sit in your heated rock chair and relax and enjoy yourself, go into the steam room, and come out, and it is lovely, very peaceful, very quiet. But Paul has done a lot of the MSC spa rooms, and why don't you talk about that? Because they have some really innovative, unique things.
Yeah, I would say this first off is that the newer ships have certainly put more attention into the spa.
Right.
So it's more of a recent, let's say like over the last 5 years, maybe the last 10 years on the ship. Some of the older ships, the spas aren't great. They're like an afterthought. But on the newer ships across the board, they put a lot more thought into it. Yeah, so MSC, especially their newer ships, very innovative with their spas. They, they'll have a large hot tub, which a lot of the lines don't have. They'll have a salt room. They'll have a snow room for that, for that matter, and just a lot of different, very unique features that are.
Well, they have that shower.
They have the shower.
This 5 or 6 step shower. It goes from hot to cold to sprinkle to every. It is just it is pretty incredible. Now, what I particularly like is they do them all interior, so it's pretty dark in the spa. A lot of people prefer the Celebrity or Royal Caribbean, how they utilize those big panoramic windows. MSC doesn't do that, although they do have doorways where you can get out on a deck and see that if you want. But for me personally, I prefer the dark coziness of doing the steam room and the sauna and the hot tub, where you're not just in the blinding light. So that's a difference. So my preference, I would edge MSC on that one.
Yeah. And to speak a little bit about the gyms as well, because that's part of it. Is here's what I would say is the newer ships have newer equipment. The older ships have older equipment, probably smaller facilities. So much like the spas, also with the gym, the cruise lines have realized how important that is to today's passenger, and they've spent time making sure that those facilities are just as good as they can be.
Yeah, and we do spend a fair amount of time in the gym. We go once or sometimes twice a day to the gym. And we even sometimes, when we board the ship, it's the first thing we do is we go to the gym so that we can eat whatever we want. And on that same related note, running tracks are also very important, certainly to me. Many ships do this incredibly well. I will say that is a shortcoming of MSCs. They do not understand that people really like these running tracks. Now, I love the running track on, I think it's the Celebrity Beyond, that's like a figure 8, and that is very, very cool. And it goes all out and above, and you go uphill. So anyway, I do love all of the spa, the gyms, and each ship does it differently. So if that's not even important to you, then I wouldn't even worry about it. But if it is, really pay attention to what we've said about those spas, because they are different, but they are good. Okay, and so one of the things that we notice a lot, no matter the venue, no matter the ship, is the importance of staff. You really want to have good staff. And I will say, it used to be any cruise line, any ship, man, they treated you like you were the Queen of Sheba. That's kind of not true. That's kind of not true for a lot of them anymore. But let's go with what we think has currently the best staff.
And that's yet a tough answer, because there's two different answers. MSC's staff is fantastic. It's a privately owned company. And we've talked with their staff in depth, and many of those staffs have worked for different lines, so they are able to compare working for company to company to company. They love working for MSC.
They do.
Again, it's privately owned. They are treated differently. They seem to be happier, and and when you have somebody that's happy in their job, they typically provide a better level of service. Now, on the flip side of that, Celebrity invests a lot in staff, and you've got the ratio of staff to passenger is higher with Celebrity.
Yeah.
They do a fantastic job. So for different reasons, they both provide a great service. Now, I would talk about Royal Caribbean, Carnival. No matter what, they're trying to do the best they can. I feel that Royal Caribbean's a little bit understaffed. I feel that Carnival's also a little bit understaffed also. But again, I don't want to disparage any individuals. They do the best they can because they're very motivated for their own career purposes to try to deliver the best service they can, and have you note them or make comment about that. That's where they get bonuses, they get raises, they get promotions, that type of thing. Now, here's what I would also say. Carnival has the most fun.
Yeah, they
During
do.
dinner time, those guys are up on tables dancing.
Yeah.
They seem to have the most fun or try to engage with the passengers the most to have enjoyment and have fun.
Yeah, and I would
sometimes
say
it's a little over the top, so you may not like that, honestly. But I think they do a great job.
Yeah, and just to add a couple of things on those, Carnival, I agree, the most fun. I think their cruise directors really go out of their way to put together a great cruise and a great plan for all of the passengers. I will say back to MSC, I agree, and we have talked to many staff where they say because it's privately owned, they get. The way they told us is they said their personal life is much better, although they make less money. But they do seem happier, and they say that they're happier there. And then Celebrity, they're phenomenal. I mean, they pay attention to every single detail. And so if you're really looking for that level, I'm going to put Celebrity on top. I love the staff at MSC. I do think their ships are a little bit understaffed, though, and you can kind of see it a little bit. Okay, and the last category that we find really important, frankly, is the passengers that we are going to be cruising with. I mean, let's face it, you're going to be stuck on this cruise ship for, a week or 2 weeks with the same group of people. And so they really are different depending on which cruise line you pick. And I would say for us, the most interesting thing has been MSC, because it is owned by an Italian privately owned company. It's a lot of Europeans come on MSC cruises, even though a lot of them are out of the United States. I'd say at least 50% of the passengers are European of some sort. And boy, does that change the dynamic quite a bit. Now, a little bit annoying that you do have to hear the announcements in multiple languages, but it's a very cool crowd to be with. It's sort of this mix of young and older. Some families, I would say not a ton of families, but very, very diverse people. And we have enjoyed that quite a bit.
Totally enjoyed that.
Yes.
And yeah, it's 50% European, but there's a ton of, the Asian community is well represented on it. So it is just across the global board on MSC, which is fantastic. Going over to other cruise lines, I think of Norwegian and Royal Caribbean, very family oriented. So
largely because of their ships. We talked about their ships have all the stuff. So family oriented.
Yes, and then when I think of Celebrity's going to be an older crowd. It's going to be a little bit more subdued. Holland America is to fall in that line also. It's going to be, again, a much older crowd, a little bit more subdued. So again, there's no right answer to, and no ranking who's the best. It's what fits you and what you're most interested in.
Exactly. And so that's why we wanted to make this video, because it really is impossible to rank cruise lines. Every single category matters, and it matters differently to different people. So we've talked to you about the food and the ships and the entertainment and the very important loyalty program, and what else?
And we talked about the staff.
Yep.
We've talked about the passengers.
Yes.
And then we've also talked about the spas and the gym.
Yeah. So all of those things matter. So take it all together, and hopefully we have helped you decide which cruise ship is best for you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Freedom Strategy.
And if you have a comment, any questions about any ships, any of that type of stuff, put it in the comment. we'll try our best to answer.
Yes, we will certainly reach out and answer those questions for you. So thank you again for joining us on the Freedom Strategy, where we are unlocking retirement through exploring the world.